Why does the military seem to plant so many trees? Well, it's to grow the infantry. What's going on, YouTube? It's Tuesday after 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we have our 3-vendor refresh. We start inside the Infinite Archive inside of the Telvanni Peninsula. Go over our first of 3 vendors. Now, we start with a hand-polished shell. Now, those of you know, I'm not a huge fan of anything that is to do with music boxes. I don't think the juice is not worth the squeeze. But I will admit that dropping from coral crabs has got to be one of the more annoying farms to have to do. It's not a world boss. You know, world bosses seem to have better drop rates. You know, you might be thinking to yourself, well, Jake, it's easier to kill, you know, a singular coral crab than a world boss. The problem is that it seems that whenever something drops from something like rats, crabs, you just aren't able to get them as easy, unfortunately, because getting crabs in the real world is exceptionally easy. Getting this lead is probably going to be more difficult. That being said, I do not encourage you to go out and purchase anything it has to do with the music box for 5,000 archival fortunes. I just don't think it's worth it. But if you're desperate for this music box, it's not the worst thing you could get. Next up is another music box. I don't know what's going on in the realm of music boxes this week. I don't know if is there some sort of event going on, but we have a miniature shattered cheval. This is part of a different music box for those of you who are interested. This is the music box Lament for the Path. Now, this bad boy just normally drops from a group event inside of the Westworld zone. You're probably going to want to farm that event anyway, for at least once, to get yourself the free skill point. And you're probably going to see a decent amount of people in that public dungeon farming it just because of all the little nitty gritty random bits and bobs that drop from there. So you do not need to go and farm this antiquity. If you're worried about the bits and bobs or just some cheap fragments that drop from there, people will still sell some of the stuff there. People will loot it for the furnishing items in there, you know, loot some of the little boxes around there. Nothing that you're like, oh, Jake, tell me more. It's not worth it. In the grand scheme of things, don't worry about the bits and bobs. Worry about some of the other things that are going to come up in this video. Hopefully, we haven't actually seen everything that's in there yet. Next up is the Veildrith mask. Now, a lot of people might think to themselves, okay, we got ourselves a little bit of a mask here. It comes from an annoying place. Veildrith coming from Cradle of Shadows. Now, you might see here that these prices are a bit all over the place. So when we look at the prices here, you're going to see, wow, listing average 7 million gold. Maybe I'll just, you know, save myself some gold. But you'll notice that there is a significantly lower listing average normally. Now, you might think to yourself, Jake, why is there this huge spike? Well, these spikes are oftentimes seen around the Undaunted Celebration event or any time that these masks are highlighted because people are now talking about this item again. That seems to always make the value go up, which is odd and kind of funny because it also increased the amount of them on the market. You guys can see here, it drastically increases the amount of them that are on the actual ESO market themselves, making it to where the supply and the price goes up, but because enough people are talking about it, it also increases the demand. All of this to say, normally this is not something that is very expensive, and you can buy this for a couple 100,000 gold, and I don't encourage you to spend 15,000 clams to get this bad boy. You can see the mask itself just makes, you got freaking mandibles. I think that's what that is. Tell me if that's wrong, but I'm pretty sure those are mandibles. We recently have been getting a lot of good stuff from these formulas. We have one this week for 36,000 gold. We have one for 22,000 gold and another one for 2,000 gold. None of these are really screaming at me worth the value. Recently, we had one that was 1 million gold for their average price. That is the Tamriel Savings Company add-on, for those of you who do not know. Highly recommended for everybody that plays on console. And we also have Southern Elsewhere treasure maps. Southern Elsewhere is not known for its treasure. It's known for the dragons that are there. What you need to know about Southern Elsewhere is that the dragons that spawn there are farmed very regularly during events where anything bonus drops from world events. So oftentimes the set theirs are over farmed just because everyone's killing dragons there to get their blood, bile, and rhenium. And the sets and other items are not worth as much because people are getting them from all the dragon slaying. So unfortunately, the maps are not really worth a lot of money. The companion equipment jewelry, though, is actually a decent gamble because whether you're building a healer, a tank, or a DPS, they all need jewelry. So instead of, you know, rolling for weapons, for example, or even light, medium, or heavy armor, you might get heavy armor piece with DPS traits, or a sword, with healing traits. And all that's going to be a little bit too loosey-goosey for you. So if you roll for jewelry, at least you're getting purple jewelry of something that you could use on a character. Even if you're like, oh, this is a tanking trait, I can't use this on my DPS companion. You can at least in the future use one on there if it's something you want to build in the future. If you're like, I'm going to build a tanking companion later, even though I'm focused on building a DPS or healing one, at least you have those jewelry pieces of something that is usable. Versus oftentimes when you roll on these, you get something that's not really usable. Then we get ourselves some books. This is one of the few open books. Just want to throw that out there. It's really good if you want to put it in a display case. For those of you who don't know, for ESO housing, you can phase items into each other. It's probably the best like home building simulator when it comes to not having super annoying snap points and other things. Even better than Fallout 76 is in my opinion, which is also really good. I mean, as somebody who played Ark Survival Evolved and kept trying to just place foundations on foundations, this ESO's placement is it's the best of any MMO in the world. Then we have the Obscure Killers of the North. This is just another regular-ish looking book. Now we have ourselves scripts. We have Interrupt, Knockback, and Leeching Thirst. And I will tell you, for your archival fortunes, you need to do more than Interrupt, Knockback, or Leech that Thirst. If you're going to be spending a premium currency, which the prices of these are close to the mythical leads that you're potentially getting. You're getting leads to potentially some of the best mythics in the game, or you could buy something you just get from a daily quest. There's just really no conducive value with these, so they're just really never worth it to get, in my opinion. And we finish on our fragments, archival riddles. You've seen these for years now. Infinite Archive body art, not worth the juice. Then we have the fragment of Winterborn. This thing drops from Spindle Clutch 2. Spindle Clutch 2 is not necessarily known for being overbearing and difficult, and it just makes your silvery bolts yellow. So probably not something that a lot of people are really using as a skill, but it's not too bad. And then we have a fragment that is worth 1.7k gold that drops from Public Dungeon. Obviously, 3,000 archival fortunes to 1.7k gold is one of the worst trade deals you could ever ask for in history. Next up, we're inside the Scholarium. Now, the Scholarium inside of Ivea is a free-to-play area. If you've never been over here or had to return to it, it's over here on the left side of your map. The Chronicler here, all of these scripts down here are rotational, except for one that's tied to an achievement. So this week we have Brutality, Sorcery, Lifesteal, Flame Damage, Class Mastery. This one is achievement-based, and then War Mage's Defense. Now, the Grimoires up top, those are static items. You can buy them whenever. Of the Brutality, Sorcery, Lifesteal, Flame Damage, which are the best? Obviously, in my opinion, I would lean towards getting Flame Damage. But truthfully, and I recommend this every week, so this is not new advice, have one character that has every single script unlocked on it. It will make your life significantly easier. And then from there, you're able to get one specific on characters. Like if you're building a Scribe skill Flame Damage build, this is just a great pickup to have. Flame Damage is one of the most universal PvP types of damage, so being able to put that on all the different scribing abilities is just really universally experimented with. There's nothing that jumps to mind that's like, if you're doing PvP, you absolutely need this one. Whereas for like the heroism script, sometimes I'm like, everybody really is using this bad boy. So it is very popular, but it's not universally needed. But obviously, because there's so many vampires and other things inside of PvP, that's why Flame Damage is more popular. And you can also stack it with all the Dragon Knights, subclassing, all the sets and things that just boost all your flame damage up, and being able to have that on a script is just relatively decent. And with gold, really just no-brainer to get. That being said, Lifesteal, Brutality, Sorcery, none of these are bad per se. It's just, there's better options available. War Mage's Defense for 12,000 plus gold is also not a good value in my opinion, just because it doesn't give you really anything very meta relevant. That being said, again, I would at least have one of these on the character just to get the achievements unlocked, so you can get all that stuff unlocked on that character. And finally, we are inside of the Imperial City sewers, inside of the Imperial City, to go over our final vendor here. If you need help finding any of these bad boys, ESOhelper.com will give you all the information on where you can find these guys, as well as how they rotate. But generally, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you have until that time in the future to get these bad boys again. So when we talk to this Televar merchant, we start with some 10 out of 10 golden sets. Now, the problem is that the 10 out of 10 golden sets, Powerful Assault. We're going to talk about this, though, momentarily. But we start with the Necklace of Alterations Mastery, which, as you can see, is still actually worth a decent amount of gold. However, let's talk about the set first, then why you're not going to buy it. So I just want to tell you, you shouldn't buy it first, just because I don't want you to not listen to the rest of this rant, and then run and go buy this and then try to sell it. So it gives you mag recovery, crit chance, and reduce the cost of all your abilities by 6%. That's pretty good in certain builds. A lot of people use Bretons, even though Bretons don't deal as much damage as most other races, because cost reduction can be very helpful and it stacks relatively well. That being said, the majority of people are not going to run a set like this. If you're trying to run a reduction build, unfortunately, your 2 through 4 are just all over the place, unfortunately. Stevie Wonder picked the 2 through 4 for these. Mag recovery is really not helpful in 2025. Crit chance is 1 bar of it, is really not moving the needle anywhere either. So for me, a set like this is very specific. It's an 8 out of 10. It's still a great set. The problem is that you really are going to be grasping at straws to try to find a use for this if you're not, going into it trying to do something specific. If you're not like, I need to reduce the cost of all my abilities by X percentage, and you're going in with that mindset, and I'm also using a Magicka character, because if not, I'm literally doing almost nothing else with the rest of this set, you're not going to be able to find a great use for it. But that 6% is better than I think people do give it credit for. And then we had the 10 out of 10 best set. Before you run and go buy this, though, this is bind on pickup. And also, it is not worth the 100k Telvar. Just wanted to get that out of the way. So why this is so good, one of, if not the best support set in the game, very simply, when you cast an assault ability while in combat, you and up to 5 other group members within 12 meters gain 307 weapon and spell damage for 15 seconds. So it's got good uptime, super easy to proc, unnamed buff. Really, all those things are the reason why it's so good. And that's all you really need to know about it, in my opinion. That's why it is one of, if not the best support set in the game, for all of those reasons. But don't buy it. It's just fun to talk about, because unfortunately, unlike some of the items below, this is better to just purchase as a purple or gold one with gold off the ESO open market and then upgrade it with materials versus ever trying to buy this with 100k Telvar, which is a bit ridiculous. And if you are interested in running this set as a support character, just make sure you proc it to your whole group. Move around, give everybody the buff, because it's when you cast it, you and up to 5 other group members, there's no cooldown for you to give it to other people, but you're only giving it to 5 people. So just remember that, because I have seen very frequently not everybody gets the buff. So keep that in mind if you do use this set. Next up is part of the Saint and Seducer, one of the best PvP mythics in the game, if this was 2024, is the Dark Seducer cameo. Now, this thing actually drops from all bosses in the Vile and Public Dungeon. Now, the Vile Man's public dungeon is inside of Reaper's March. It's one of the public dungeons that you should know as an ESO player. And if you're like, Jake, why should I know this as an ESO player? It is the best public dungeon if you want to farm gold. Now, you might think to yourself, Jake, there are plenty of other places that drop things that are worth millions of gold. And I know dang well a base game public dungeon ain't dropping anything that valuable. And what I mean by that is it's the best place to farm gold, like the coins, gold, because you kill Imperials. And as you may know, their racial passive is that they get gold. And that for some reason, that also translates to killing Imperials, and the public dungeon is filled with them. So it is one of the best farming spots to get experience as far as gold. So just keep that in mind if you've never been there before. Reaper's March, Vile Man's, one of the best places to do that. That being said, yes, this is a PvP mythic. Yes, you may, as a PvP player, have 25k Telvar and not want to go farm around Wimbly Bimbly inside a public dungeon. All that to say, though, if you're going to do that, go get the Monomyth mythic. Saint and Seducer, it has been completely outclassed by the Monomyth mythic. If it were to get nerfed or changed or redone in some way, obviously we could see a resurgence. The problem is that Monomyth gives you a static ability. You know what buffs you're going to get. Saint and Seducer is gambly, and people would rather just get the good buffs and not have to wonder if they're going to get the good or the annoying ones, or the ones that are really going to help them or not. Next up, though, is the Indrake Hide Strap. Now, this comes from Savara's Bane's Ward, which is a whole mess of words to say, and it drops from the Indrik Folic World Boss in Somerset. So this mythic is actually pretty unique in the sense that while bracing, you create a 12-meter zone of protection, but you can no longer move, and it basically gives everybody a static additional amount that they can block, and their health recovery is increased by 950. The health recovery, though, cannot affect yourself. So very weird mythic compared to a lot of the ones we talked about, which have been probably more utilized and mainstream discussed. Is this a mythic that I think that you need? No. Is this a mythic that has a lot of widespread utilization? Not really. That being said, if you're a support character, should you own a mythic like this? I just think so, yes. I think anybody that goes into ESO and they like to play healers, tanks, support, you should just own any mythic or any set that's just loosely related to it. It will just help you in the long run. That way, when the people are putting trials or group teams together, hey, we might need to run this because of this really weird mechanic. Does anybody have this? Yes. All right. You're going to wear that thing. It's just always helpful to have. That being said, you're not going to see this in a crazy amount of content compared to most other mythics, even ones like the Saint and Seducer, which, yes, Saint and Seducer, which gives you a random major and minor buff randomly, so as you're in combat, is still more utilized in PvP than this is definitely utilized in PvE. Also, too, Saint and Seducer is not one that came out in the newest DLC, so if you don't have the content pass, Saint and Seducer is easily still one of the top 3 best PvP mythics. Whereas if you do have the new content pass, then it probably slips maybe to 4th or 5th. Thankfully, a lot of this other stuff is a little bit easier to determine if it's valuable. Reaper's March treasure maps, garbage. Don't even consider them. The rings, what we talked about earlier, garbage. Throw them away. We already talked about them. You don't need to talk about them again. Then we have Evasion, Uncertainty, Frost Damage, and Cavalier's Charge. Now, these obviously are really fun to talk about, but problem is that evasion is not super helpful unless you're doing really specific types of content where you need evasion. Some people love it for PvP. The problem is that yes, evasion can be helpful if you're trying to, run through an area that's got a lot of really bad things on the ground. The issue is that if you have evasion, you're probably not using a buff that's potentially better than evasion. And I would encourage you just to not run through red circles of death. And if you're like, Jake, I can't avoid the red circles of death, you always can usually avoid the red circles of death. You can break down another wall inside of Cyrodiil to one that's not being so loosely guarded. You can streak. You can do all sorts of fun things. You don't have to stand in the red circles. The best Jakeclips of 2025. Don't stand in the red circles. You don't have to. And then you have Uncertainty, Frost Damage, Cavalier's Charge. Yes, Frost Damage is very cool. So is Cavalier's Charge. In my opinion, the problem is that Frost Damage, unlike Fire Damage, is not as utilized, and 15k plus TLDR, depending on if you have this already, it could be more if you don't have it unlocked on another character. It's just not worth 15,000 TLDR, and if you don't have it unlocked on another character, it's not worth the increased amount. I would definitely give this a skip, in my opinion, even though Frost Damage is very good. If this was purchasable with gold, this would be one of the better items to get, but it's not. Next up is an item that I don't know how you determine its value. It is Dizzying Swing and Wrecking Blow, now green. How do you determine how valuable that is? I'm not sure. 30k TLDR, though, for a skill that's actually pretty utilized, though, for most types of content. Potentially it has some value, and it is mostly used by PvP players. You're not going to see a lot of people uppercutting in PvE content, or if they are, it's a little bit of a unique choice. But is it enough to have something that looks just a little bit like this? I just don't think that this little green sploosh is enough to make me go, 30k TLDR. Because 30k TLDR loosely translates to, I would say, this is just me, probably at least somewhere between 50 and 80,000 gold on console, even more on PC. Is this, is this little thing here worth that much in gold? Probably to most people, no. And the other issue is that yes, that TLDR is worth that much. The problem is that most people don't have a lot of TLDR that they just keep on hand. One, because put it in your bank for the love of all that is holy. Don't just keep TLDR on you. Yes, you only lose it if you die in the Imperial City. But I know so many people that have lost TLDR, Travis, David, Brandon, all of them, Hunter, by just walking out into the Imperial City, going out for their morning coffee with all the TLDR in the world on them. And some Nightblade is feasting because of it. Some Nightblade has just put a retirement down payment on every house in the entirety of the Ebonheart Pact because of them. So be careful. Do not have your TLDR on you. But everyone, thank you guys so much again for watching. Bit of a weird week because a lot of the items here are unique. We actually have a 10 out of 10 set for inside the TLDR merchant here. The issue is that even with the value of it being over worth 100,000 gold, even if you're like, Jake, I really want that set, the problem is that it's just cheaper. Just buy with your gold. You can convert it into Hajaku runes. You could convert it into the 1.5k superb reward over here. You're just never going to beat the ways that you can convert your TLDR to gold. This thing literally doubles in value. And this is, if you don't combine it with the Kuda, if you're a master enchanter, you put these two things together, you're getting even more value out of it. And that doesn't even talk about this thing, which I will die on the hill that this is the best way to convert your Telvar to gold. If there's somebody on PC right now who's about to tell me I'm wrong, fight me. You can meet me outside. But overall, flame damage script, and potentially too, if you wanted to look at some of the other potential leads, if you're like, Jake, I really need this one, I don't want to have to go farm it, but realistically, unless the music box one is really high up on your list of things to go out and get, I think this week you just go get a cheap flame damage script and you'll be good to go on your character. So thank you guys so much again for watching. Quick 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do is like the video, be subscribed, and look for hidden word to be flashed upon the screen or put somewhere in the video. If you're the first person to find and comment that thing, you will win. Obviously, the other 2 drawings a little more straightforward, random sub and a random like/comment. So please do those things. I'll catch you guys later. Have a fantastic Tuesday. I'm heading back to work here, and I'll see you then. Bye, guys, and happy Veterans Day. I forgot that it was Veterans Day, so now I'm going to do an intro pun about Veterans Day. This is how I script the videos. We go reverse chronological order sometimes.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.